Okay, so we were talking about that. Is that everybody able to see my screen?
Yes, Pradeep.
Yeah. So I was saying that whenever you want to get the read the data or pull the data from the Excel, you have to choose option data source. Here you have to give the path of the Excel, then you have to give the name of the worksheet, okay, and then you have to give the start cell. Now the question is, what do you mean by start cell? Start cell, what happens that actually in this option it reads the data from the one point and keep reading the data from that column to the rest of the column. Means you can't choose that I want to read this column, that I want to read this column. It will, you can give only the starting position. You can only give the starting position that I want to read data from this column A2. So then it will read the data from B2, C2, D2. Are you getting my point? It cannot skip the columns. तो आपका यहाँ पे whenever you have given option A1, A1 means it will read the data from first column. And what is the first column in your Excel? ID. Yes or no? What is the first column in your Excel? ID. So it will read the data from the ID. You want to see? Just click on this one. Whenever you click on this one, it will read the data. But before that, whatever data it will read, you will store in a variable, and that is called your property. So you can give any variable here, anything you want to give. ID. Okay. So now let me run this. When I will run this, click on OK. Are you able to see it is reading the data? Sabko dikh raha hai? Are you able to see reading the data here?
Yes, Pradeep.
Okay. Now
Pradeep, can you repeat the variable part? Variable.
Yeah, I'm saying that what happens that here you have given the Excel, here you have given the sheet name, and here you have given the start of the cell. So whenever देखो मैं यहाँ पे पढ़ा रहा हूँ, वहाँ पे कोई और भी पढ़ा रहा है. E के लिखो. How you can write the E? Okay, now let me come back here. So here you can give the start of the cell. Start of the cell means from which column you want to start reading the data. So when you are saying A1, A1 means it will read the data from this column. Are you getting my point? It will read the data from this column. And if you are giving the B2, so it will read the data from second column. It will skip the first one. Just see here. If I will give here B1, अगर मैं B1 देता हूं तो देखना क्या करेगा. You will see. I will click on this one, run. What data it is reading this time? Name. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now the question is that if you want to read the multiple data, you want to read the ID. In your case, you need only ID, but some cases, like in case of add student, suppose you are running the add student. So how many data you want to pull from the, you can say Excel, name, age, subject. So it do not give you an option that you can start, you can choose one option, you can choose one column, then you can skip this one and go. You can only give the start one and it will read this one, then next, then next, and then next. So only the option is that you should give the starting position here A1, and here you have map all the columns. जितने भी column आपके पास है map कर दो same order में. ID. What is the second one? Name, age, and subject. So try to map here. Name. How many properties you will write in the same order? It will read the data from Excel. Name, age, and subject. So this is the same orders you have created 4 variables here. Okay, I told you that you cannot skip any column. So what it will do when you run this from here, it will read all the data. It is reading all the data. You can see here.
Yes.
And whenever it is reading the data, by default, what will happen? This column is mapped with this first one. Second data column is mapped with the second one. So anywhere you want to read the data, you want to use this data, you want to read 5 data, simply take the variable name. अगर आप इस name को use करोगे, so it will give the value of 4727. If you use the, if you use the ID, it will give you the values this one. If you use the variable name, it will give the values this. If you use the age, it will give the value this one. Are you getting my point? So यहाँ पे एक variable, it doesn't matter the name of this should be mapped with the name of the Excel. कहीं से कोई मैच करने की जरूरत नहीं. It is just like a variable. अगर मैं इसका नाम ये भी दे दूं ना, for example, NAAM, so it will be a variable. It is just like a variable which is storing the value from Excel. Is it okay? तो जहां कहीं भी आपको ये value use करनी, you will give the reference of these variable. Is it okay?
Is this case sensitive?
Yes, it is case sensitive. Yeah, variable is always case sensitive. Okay. Now come to here. Now come to here, this one, that you want to use this data in your get string by ID. So first thing what you have to do, this step should be first one. आपका पहले test data होना चाहिए ना. So move this step data source first, then get string by ID. Now tell me, you have an option. यहाँ पे you want to use the data from, this data source. Yes or no?
Yes.
So you have two options. You can write the data property transfer. आप property transfer लिख सकते हो? Yes or no?
Yes.
You can write a property transfer. And second, very easiest option is that you can write the path also. Right click, get data, data source, and give what value you want to read it here. ID. You can see here, it has created the path of ID from the data source. Yes or no? Step, name of step in, this is the variable ID. Yes or no?
Yes.
If you want to write this way, it is easiest way. If you want to write a data transfer, you can use. I'm just showing you, but you don't need to use it. Property transfer में क्या करना पड़ेगा? You have to choose a source. You have to give the name of palette. You have to give the name of the setting, like ID transfer. Then you have to choose source. Source is data source. Property is ID. Target is get string ID, and property is request. And here you have to give the yes or no.
Dash.
So you have to do this thing. You can achieve in this way, but the easiest way is that I told you I can write your own. Yes or no?
Yes.
So you can do in the both way. Now this part is done. Now the thing is that now let me delete property transfer. You don't need it. So now when I run this, you will see, you will be surprised what is output it is giving you. Just see here, I'm running the whole test case. In the logs check, how many times it run the data? Only once. And how many data is in the Excel? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 IDs are there, yes or no?
Yes.
But it is running the test data only one. And it is giving the ID. Which ID it is picking? Just tell me. It is picking the only first ID. And why it is picking the first ID, this one ID? Because in your setting, the first data is this column. Yes or no? Because you have started your setting from where? Just go and check your data source. क्या use किया आपने? A1. It should be A2. A means it is talking about the column, and whatever numeric value you are writing, 1, 2, 3, that is actually telling the row number. तो आप कहां से start करना चाहते हो? पहला column you want to use, but from the second row, because first row is working as a header. Getting my point? Now you will see if I run this test data here again, you will see this time it will skip the header column. Header column दिख रहा है यहाँ पे, or you are able to see direct values. This one, this one, this one. Now let me run it. अगर मैं I'm going to run your validate test case. Which data are you able to see? Only one time it is running for ID1. Yes or no? केवल ID1 के लिए run हो रहा है. And it should run how many times? For all the data which is available in the Excel. Yes or no? Yes or no बोलते रहे कीजिए. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
So because the thing is that data source is not used stand alone. Data source is always used in a combination of a component that is called data source loop. And we have to use the data source loop. आपको data source loop को कहाँ use करना है? First data source, then the name of the step, and then data source loop. Actually, this setting is going to make a loop so that it can read all the data. So what you have to set in data source loop? Go and check. How many steps are there? 2 steps है इसके. क्या डालना है? In the data source loop, you have to tell what is the name of your data source. What is the name of your data source? Data source. And once it will read one column, one row it will read. एक बार ये आपके test data को चला देगा get string by ID. So if once it run the one data, again you have to go which step? Get string by ID. ताकि बार-बार उसको loop पे क्या करता रहे? चलाता है. Are you getting my point? It means since whenever it will read the data, another row from the Excel, it will take your control every time to the गेट सिस्टम आईडी। जब हर बार जाएगा तभी तो आपको क्या होगा, every time it will take the fresh value and put it here. Yes or no?
Yes.
ठीक है, now I will show you how it is running. देखो, logically you can say physically how many test steps are there, 1 2 3, but at run time you will see how many steps are there. Let me run. कितने स्टेप दिख रहे हैं आपको? कोई बताएगा why you are able to see 19 step at run time? Because you
19
have,
IDs, 19
yes,
values.
you have 19 IDs. And why it is showing 19, I will tell you. How many test data you have? Just see. आपके पास ये 9 डेटा है, 9 ID है, yes or no?
Yes.
So 9 times it is running this thing. That is okay. Okay, 9 times it is running this thing. So the thing is that why it is showing 9 times it is running this step and 9 times it is running data source loop. So how, what is the total count? 18. And data source loop, data source option only will always runs only once. Data source केवल एक बार run होता है, and your loop is actually controlled between these steps. So how many total steps are there? जितनी भी आपका डेटा होगा, डबल प्लस 1. Yes or no? अच्छा, let me do one thing. I'm going to add one more data. So how many records are, how many IDs are there? 10. So if I
Yes.
run this, so if I run this test case again, how many steps will be there?
25.
Very good. Just see here. It is 21.
Yes.
And even you can see the logs. Data source run हुआ, data source only once. उसके बाद you will see get system ID, data source loop, get system ID, data source loop, get system ID, data source loop. So data source loop only runs once, and the loop is created by step loop, step loop. So these two steps run on the basis of number of data. So you have contains 10 data, 10 for this, 10 for this, 20, and 1 for this. And you want to see that it is actually making a loop. तो आप किसी भी जगह जाके किसी भी any data you can pick it from the left. Just check here. What ID you are able to see? 4. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now you will see. Go in the another loop. जाओ check करो. This time ID is 7. Yes or no?
Yes.
So actually with the help of this one, it is making a loop. But this feature is only available in the paid. तो यहाँ पे फायदा क्या है? With the help of data source and data source loop, if you wrapped any ID here, it will make a loop. Only the thing is that within the request step, you have to use the all the fields. Okay? So that is about the data source. Is it okay?
Yes.
Now, I will tell you very important thing also, that in your suite, you have one option that like suppose take the example, whenever you are using a property steps here, take the example, आपने property step को use किया यहाँ पे. So this property is available in the, this property will only available in this test case. Yes or no? Because this step is a part of create and verify student. So agar I want to access this property in another test case, can I access? Can I access?
Yes.
No. Agar
Using
koi,
go to.
yes, the thing is that because we don't have any step in next test case, because this property is actually related to one test case, so we can't access it. So if you want to access any property in every test case, so you have option. Instead of defining a properties steps here, you can define the properties at test suite level. Double click on test suite, and here you will see option. Below are you able to see properties step? तो यहाँ पे आप कोई प्रॉपर्टी डिफाइन करना चाहो कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई वांट टू डिफाइन अ प्रॉपर्टी टेस्टर, ताकि हम एक इंफॉर्मेशन रखना रहते हैं हु इज टेस्टिंग. सो आई एम सेइंग प्रदीप चंद नेलवा. So this property will be available everywhere. If everything is available at the parent level, it can access anywhere. You want to see? You want to see? Bolo, you want to see? I want to see in the groovy step. कि देखो अगर इसकी access करनी है, right click, get data, and you will see this time test suite, property tester, this one, and you will see you can access this one here. You want to see? I will show you just printing it. Log.info. Coding part I'm not going to cover in this session. Coding part मैं cover नहीं कर रहा हूँ, है ना? Because we are going to learn the coding part in rest assured. So I will show you. यहाँ पे जब मैं run करूँगा, you will see what value it will print. It is printing Pradeep Chand Nerwala. Are you able to see this one?
Yes.
So how it is reading the value? You can read the value from any level. So I have given you the example here, but if you want to use, tell me, it is using the same concept of path, yes or no? Use kar raha hai? So anywhere you want to use this property, just use the concept. Name of the step is test suite. Within the, you want to use a property that is called tester. Is it okay? So you can say this is all about all the steps in the SoapUI for the SOAP-based services. And same steps you have to use in the REST. So in case of REST, I will only show you that how you can configure the things. How you can configure the things. Rest of the things will be same. बाकी की जितनी भी चीजें होंगी वो क्या होंगी? Same होंगी. Are you getting my point?
Yes, Pradeep.
Only the configuration part will be different. So here you configure the thing for the SOAP, how you create the project, file, new SOAP project, and you go the WSDL. Then you have done the manual testing as well as automation. In case of REST, the thing will be little bit different. Only the configuration part. In this case, you will create a new REST project. And in the case of REST project, what you have to do, you don't use any WSDL. You actually use the URLs. So how you can use the URL? You can use this document. तो यहाँ पे एक-एक करके आपको URL configure करने पड़ते हैं. I've shown you this thing also previously, but I'm showing it again. ये मैंने आपको configuration time पे दिखाया था. Okay, but I'm doing it again. So give the URL here. Click on OK. And here you will see by default it has created this thing for you. Let me first of all close other things. This is the, and here you can see by default this project is created here. So I will give you advice. First of all, rename this project according to your need. तो मैं इसका नाम क्या रखता हूँ? 17th batch REST project. Okay, I'm just taking the example REST. 17th batch REST project. I'm not giving any gap here. And okay. So this is your project so that you can remind me. Okay. Now within it, by default, you have added one URL. So when you have added one URL, you will see it shows every URL something like that. So यहाँ पे भी देखो आपकी help करी है उसने. It has given you, this is called the operation and this is called sample request. Are you able to see this request? Now click on this one. Are you able to see the data right side? Yes or no? दिख रहा है? Yes or no?
Yes.
So in this case, but only the, you can say in case of REST, you have to configure each and every URL separately. So I will advise you, whenever you are adding one URL, just give a proper name. तो मैं क्या करूँगा? I am giving this step name. इस step को, it is called method. इस method को एक नाम देता हूँ क्या? I will say get all student method. Getting my point? Get, or you can see, if you don't want to focus on that, just leave it. You can simply rename request part so that you can easily understand what type of request is this. The purpose of this request to get all students. Is it okay?
Yes.
तो यहाँ पे आप अपनी हर request को एक नाम दे दो. So this request is created. Now you have to add another URL. अब आपको ये URL add करना है. कैसे करोगे? Copy this URL. Again go and click to SoapUI. Right click on this part. Right click on this part and say new resource and give the path here and click on OK. Okay, it is saying that create resource as a child. We can do it, but I will suggest don't do it. Simply to create a fresh resource. Now you are able to see left side, it is showing you this one. And this, what is the purpose of this URL? Get student by
ID.
So every time you are adding any URL, just give the request a specific name. Get student by ID. I'm telling you why I'm doing this. When you make your automation, this name is going to help you to easily identify the request. Okay. Now tell me, here you will see, this is the method already get is there. So you don't need to change. You don't need to change. You don't need to change. But it is expecting some ID. Yes or no? But इसमें एक ID expect कर रहा है ना? In the URL, there is ID in the URL. So this URL ID is known as, this is known as path param. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Whenever there is some data you have to provide in the URL, that is called path param. And if you have to provide some data, something like that, after question mark you have to provide something like that, user equal to something, that is called query param. अगर क्वेश्चन के बाद के आगे कोई ऐसा डेटा लिखा होता है एपीआई में, इसको बोलते हैं दिस इज नोन एज क्वेरी परम. एंड इफ इट समथिंग इज डिफाइंड विद इन द पाथ, ऐसे पाथ में लिखा होता है विदाउट क्वेश्चन मार्क, दैट इज कॉल्ड पाथ परम. इसको बोलते हैं पाथ परम और उसको बोलते हैं क्वेरी परम. इज इट ओके? सो व्हेनेवर देयर इज सम डेटा इन द पाथ परम और क्वेरी परम, इट विल बी विजिबल इन दिस वे. यहाँ पे अपने आप दिखाएगा. Whenever you pass here, अपने आप समझ जाएगा कि यहाँ पे जो वैल्यू पास करनी है, you have to give it here. तो आप कैसे दे सकते हो? Here you can pass the value here. Name is already here. By default, value is ID. You can give any value. 2933 and just run it. You are getting the response for the 2933. Answer is 22 Murtaja and soap. Is it working?
Yes.
In the same way, actually this is the only way. In the same way, you have to configure third URL. Click on this, right click, new resource. Again go to this one, select the third URL. ऐसे ही आप करके सारे कर सकते हो. I will give you, skip the delete, let me come to the post. That is important. Post पे आते हैं. Come here, give the URL, click on OK. It will again generate a request. First of all, change the name of the request. This request is for create student. Yes or no? Now here, very, very important thing. In this step, tell me, you need get method or something different? Tell me here. कौन सा method चाहिए हमको?
Post method.
So in this case, you will use this drop down. For this request is already here. Change the method type to the post. When you change the method type post, it will open some different UI at left side. Just see here. ये दिख गया कुछ नया खुला इसने. It opened this thing, something like that. This one. Why it is open this, I will tell you. Because the thing is that whenever you are using the post method, definitely you have to pass some data in the body. आपको एक input देना पड़ता है, something like this. You need to give this input. Yes or no? And where you will provide this data? For this purpose, in your tool, there is an option that is called media type. Media type means you want to put some data in the request part. Yes, and that is not a part of parameter. अगर आप कोई data अपने parameter में ना देके यहाँ देना चाहते हो as a part of body, so you give it here. Getting my point? लेकिन यहाँ पे एक condition है. If you are using the XML based data, you have to choose JSON XML. If you are using the JSON based, you have to use JSON. आप कौन सा use कर रहे हो? So click on XML. अगर आप इसमें JSON use करोगे, देखो क्या होगा. I will show you. Let's click on this. Right side you are able to see an error. इस error में ध्यान से देखना. This is an error. क्या लिखा है? Unsupported. What is written here? Unsupported. So it is telling you that it is not supporting JSON. ये JSON को support नहीं कर रहा है. Now click and change XML. Now I'm running it. You got the response 2949. So यहाँ पे, so in case of post, what you have to do in your API supports XML. Then you have to use the XML data, and in this dropdown you have to select XML. And if your API support, for take the example, I can take the example of this one. अगर मेरी ये वाली API होती URL, so in this case, what we have to do? We have to use this data, but the dropdown have to be changed to JSON. Is it okay? Haji, anybody have any question? And in this way, you can configure your every URL. मैंने कितने configure कर दिए? I have configured here. One request is this, second request is this, and this is the third request. तो मैंने यहाँ 3 requests बना दिए. ऐसे ही one by one you have to add all the URLs here. Getting my point? जो भी URL add करोगे, whatever URL adding here, that is going to be appear in case of automation. Is it okay? Everybody can configure it, yes or no?
Yes.
Now I will show you the automation. In automation, I will just give you idea. मैंने automation इसका बताऊंगा. Reason is that automation part is totally same as in case of SOAP based service. I can show you that thing also. How you create the automation? Click on project, right click, new test suite. Yes or no? ऐसे करते थे?
Yes. Yes.
Then you give any name. I am again giving student test suite. ऐसे करते थे. What other thing you do? Right click on the test suite. Then you say new test case. देखो यहाँ पे वही बताऊंगा. Create whatever test case you want to do. Create and verify student. So automation part is always same. क्योंकि automation करने के लिए why it is same? Tell me why? Because we are using the same step. सारे step तो हमारे same ही होंगे. तो you have these, you have created, create and verify. Now you have to add the step. तो add step में तो वही सारे step वही तो मिलेंगे same. Yes or no? तो उनको use करने का तरीका भी क्या होगा? Same. The way of using the steps will be same as we have used in case of SoapUI. Is it okay? Only one difference will be here. Only one difference will be here. Anybody can tell me what will be the difference? केवल एक अंतर होगा यहाँ पे. क्या अंतर होगा? Instead of using the soap step, you are going to use REST. क्योंकि because you are using the REST-based automation, so you are going to use REST. Rest of the option will be same and will be used in the same way. I will give you a little bit hint for that. And rest of the things you will do. देखो मैं करूँगा REST system. I want to use the take the example. Get student by ID. Get student, or get student, or you can see one here. Get student by. I click on OK. Now you see a problem. How many steps, how many methods are you are able to see? Which you have configured only? Yes or no? आपने 3 configure करे तो देखो आपको 3 method दिख रहे होंगे. Get all student, get student by ID and create student. Yes or no? आपको वो 2 नहीं दिख रहे, delete, because you have not configured at manual level. Getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes, Pradeep.
So whatever you will configure in this URL, in this part, in this binding part, that will be visible here. You are interested in the get student by ID, click on that, click on OK, and it will. So here you will see automated, it's showing you, you can test it here. But the thing is that you want to make a automation. क्या बनाना चाहते हो आप इसका? Automation. Automation means your test data will be something different place. चलिए वही काम करते हैं. Example, properties. Everybody is aware about properties कैसे बनाते हैं? I can take the example. एक property लेते हैं ID. And what is the test data? 2988. Is it okay? Yes or no?
Yes.
What second thing you do in your previous automation? This is property, this is step. Property transfer. You guys are awesome. Insert property transfer. Just write it here. And you will see everything is same. Only you have to understand what you have to achieve. First transfer you have to do ID. केवल एक ही value transfer करनी है. So 1 is enough. ID transfer. Now click on it. What is the source? कहाँ से data आएगा? Properties. Which property? ID. Where you have to send the data? Target, get from ID. Which part? Request. Yes or no? And here you have to write the path. Yes or no? But this is not true. Why? You will see. Again, click on the property. Are you able to see a property ID? Yes or no?
Yes.
So now the thing is, just see here. Because in get student by ID, tell me, ID is passed as a parameter of a path. Yes or no? Path में pass हो रही है?
Yes.
So whenever anything will be passed as a path of parameter, that will be visible just like a property. That is not a part of your actual request body. Request का part होता है जो किसमें हो? XML or JSON के form. So in this case, property will be ID. Now you will see it is running or not. Transfer हुआ 2988? Yes or no? You want to see?
Yes.
Go and check here. हो रहा है?
Yes.
Here you are not, this step is not running. That's why you are able to see 2933. इसको पूरा run करो, you will able to see right side also. Run the whole test case. Now check, and it run whole the test case. You want to see the log. क्या दिख रहा है response में? Oh, 29 ID exist नहीं करती है क्या? Let me check manually. Oh, this ID do not exist. इसका मतलब let me take some different value. कौन सी आईडी एग्जिस्ट करती है? वी कैन चेक. कौन सी आईडी एग्जिस्ट करती है? वी कैन टेक एट द डेटा. मुर्तजा की आईडी क्या थी? व्हाट वाज द आईडी ऑफ मुर्तजा? 2933. लेट मी टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ 2933 and let me save it. Now let me run it. It is running fine, yes or no?
Yes.
देखो, so everything is same. Everything is same, trust me. अब आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ एक पोस्ट का भी, and rest of the thing you will try your own. ठीक है? वैसे तो अगर मैंने पोस्ट का एग्जांपल दिया, rest of the things will be clear. Let me take the example. कैसे देता हूँ? Let me take the example. Instead of get student, okay, at any point in time, for the timing you want to disable, you can disable it. Disable test step. Here I will do one thing. I'm taking the example of create a student. Test request, create a step, click on OK. Which operation I will select? Create a student. Click on OK. So this is the request. So now tell me, how many properties you have to set? Sample request बना दी, यहाँ पे आपका डेटा होना चाहिए, yes or no?
Yes.
तो ये डेटा कहाँ रखेंगे? एक काम करते हैं, फॉर द टाइमिंग आई एम गोइंग टू यूज द सेम प्रॉपर्टी. यहाँ पे सिर्फ एक काम करते हैं, लेट मी ऐड द प्रॉपर्टीज. क्या क्या चाहिए? नेम, एज एंड सब्जेक्ट. इज इट ओके? और तीनों में डेटा डाल देते हैं, वट एवर यू वॉन्ट. राम, एज इज सपोज 66, सब्जेक्ट इज RAMAYAN, Ramayan. Okay, so this is test data. Now you have you can tell me, I can write a property transfer for each and every, yes or no? कर सकते हैं, yes or no? अरे बोलो yes or no. लिख सकते हैं कि नहीं?
Yes, yes.
And what is the another way? दूसरा वे एक और बताया था मैंने. इस स्टेप को अगर मैं डिलीट कर दूं तो भी मेरा काम हो जाएगा. I can write directly here the path. Yes or no? Path देखो हम यहाँ पे भी लिख सकते हैं. कैसे? Just here. Same thing is there. मैंने बोला सब कुछ सेम है. Remove this 99 and right click and write the path. Get data. कहाँ से डेटा उठाना है? Properties. Which one? Name. Oh sorry, age.
Age.
Age का path आ गया. Yes or no? किसका path लिखना है? What part I have to write now? Name. आ गया name का path. Oh, why it written 2 times in गलती से. ठीक है, यहाँ पे आप चाहो तो खुद भी तो लिख सकते हो. देखो, why you taking the help? क्या लिखना पड़ेगा आप मुझे बताओ? Properties and here you have to write subject. But this thing is that you have to give the proper. यहाँ पे variable का नाम वही होना चाहिए. Whatever you have taken here, है ना? ये नाम that should be same. तो SUB ये है तो ऐसे लिख दो. देखो ये भी काम कर जाएगा. SUBJECT. So now I made your life easy. You want to see? It is working, yes or no? 2950 it is getting, yes or no?
Yes.
You want to run? देखो मैं एक बार और रन कर रहा हूँ. You will see it will return the ID 2951. It is running to 29951. Yes or no?
Yes.
So everything you are able to see. देखो जैसे मैंने property use किया, as I use the property transfer, I use the create step. इसके अंदर क्या किया? I simply use the get data. तो सारा काम everything like you want to use the JDBC, you want to use the if you want to JDBC data source loop, everything will be same. Yes or no? Do you think that will be same? Yes or no? क्योंकि automation करते वक्त steps uses same. Only the difference is that how you attach the REST-based API and you are using it. Even the assertion part will be same. You want to see? Let me show you. You are getting the assertion also, and same assertion you are getting. Yes or no?
Yes.
तो आपका SOAP और REST में केवल ये डिफरेंस है कि SOAP का कॉन्फ़िगरेशन विजडल से होता है और यहाँ पे कॉन्फ़िगरेशन होता है with the help of individual URL. So again, I'm telling you in the English that only the difference whenever you are automating a SOAP-based service or you are automating a REST-based service in terms of SoapUI, only the difference is at the level of configuration. Once you have configured the project with your URLs or with the help of Wisdal, rest of the automation will be in the same. Is it okay? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
And in this way you can do, in this way you can run the automation. Okay. And now whenever you want to run whole set suite, click on this and click on hold test suite. In this way, you can run the whole test suite. Is it okay?
Okay.
ऐसे आप क्या कर सकते हो, पूरे उसको रन कर सकते हो. ठीक है? Anybody want to ask anything? किसी को कुछ पूछना है? Okay. किसी ने नहीं पूछा. One important thing, whenever you are running any test case, report is always important. कैसे रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं? Click on this one. इस आइकन पे क्लिक करो. ठीक है, इस आइकन पे क्लिक करो and then run this one. Okay, हैंग कर गया क्या? हैंग कर गया. Okay, so simple thing is that when you click on this icon and click on this run button, it will not only run your test case, it will generate a report. Something like that, this test case is run and pass and fail. Getting my point? So this is all about the SoapUI. And in the SoapUI, in this manner, you can run your test.
Can you show the report?
Yeah, actually that is hanged. That's why I'm not able to show you. Which it is luckily hanged. Oh, it is hanged, it is hanged. It is hanged. Okay, don't worry. I will show you report in the next session. Okay, it is hanged. But you can also see, because you have a paid version, click on this one and click on this run button. So automatically report will be generated. Okay?
Hi, Pradeep.
Yeah, tell me.
Pradeep, like I am having issues with the installation. Like, could you help me in
Okay.
in your system?
So yeah, I will do one thing. Are you comfortable right now?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So I'm binding the session for the day. I will share the recording. Please revise the things, and tomorrow I will start the rest assured part. And if you have any question, you can ask me from the APIs. आपको कोई भी question है, आप revise कर सकते हो. Whatever you have learned in the previous sessions, you can apply on this. तो आप मेरी advice है, my advice is that please revise the session. Yesterday session means the previous 2 sessions, and revise the today's session. When you revise these 3 sessions, then you can ask me the questions tomorrow. अगर आपने इसमें से एक भी session, first session you can miss because that is related to the configuration. But please do not miss previous 2 sessions plus 1 today's session. When you revise all these sessions, then you can ask. And trust me, if you are not revising, you can't ask, and we will proceed to the rest issue. Is it okay? So I'm binding the session for the day. Nivida, I will share you the ID just after this session. Okay?
Okay. Okay, Pradeep.
Okay. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.